Amendment bill offered, Mr.
Without objection,
Serrano.
the reading is dispensed with.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Chairman, let me own up to the fact that I did ask Mr. Pastor to say a few words in Spanish at the beginning of his opening statement, and he agreed to. I used to do that in the past to either get a laugh out of somebody, which never worked, or confuse some of my Republican friends. But I found out that since last November, they've all been taking Spanish courses anyway, so it doesn't matter anymore. I have a microphone, it just doesn't work. This amendment would replace the sequester in the next 2 years with a responsible plan to reduce the deficit through targeted cuts and savings. And incidentally, speaking about my Spanish comments, the biggest problem I have these days is finding a direct translation to the word sequester. The closest is secuestro, which means kidnapping. And perhaps I should stop worrying about the fact that there's no direct translation, just go with the fact that in many ways it is a kidnapping. The sequester has kidnapped many of our values by not allowing us to invest in the future of our country. This bill then becomes so much a victim of that sequester because it does not allow a good chairman like Mr. Latham and a good ranking member like Mr. Pastor the ability to put forth a bill that we can all support. We've had differences in the past on appropriations bills. We always have. But we've always been able to come together because it's been a situation where you knew that there was a give and take. There's no give and take anymore. The sequester has simply said, this is the rule, this is the way it's going to be, and nothing else can happen. And what it has done mostly and most harm is what it has done to this committee. I've said this before on a couple of occasions. Others have mentioned it. This committee has the ability, notwithstanding what anyone may think, to challenge the sequester. This committee has the ability to say that we, better than anyone else, have known throughout the years the investments that are needed in our country in order to strengthen our country and to keep us the country we are. But instead, in so many ways, we succumb to this desire to cut, 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 cut. I think there's even a section of Congress that would like to go home and say, guess what I accomplished? The federal budget is at zero. I don't know if that's constitutionally correct to present the budget as zero, but I think some people would like to accomplish that. Let me give you just some ideas in this particular bill. The agencies in this bill would have to hurt low-income families using housing choice vouchers by approximately 140,000 by early 2014. This represents a change from Congress, nearly 40 years bipartisan commitment to renew assistance for at least the same number of families from year to year. That's important to note, especially to new members of the committee and new members of Congress. For 40 years, in a bipartisan fashion, we've said there are people in this country that need these vouchers. Let's not fool around with it. Let's just do it. For the first time, we're not doing that. Additionally, thousands of low-income families using vouchers could face sharp rent increases as well. We heard from Ms. Lowy, something that I'm very familiar with. I take Amtrak every week to New York. Amtrak needs help. It continues to function. It does the work, but under great stress. We continue to be the one country in the world that thinks that a proper rail service, that a proper passenger rail service is totally improper, not proper, not the proper thing to do. And so what do we do in this bill? What do we do in this Congress? We cut more and more and more from Amtrak, thus creating this horrible situation. Public housing would take a cut of $293 million. Again, this committee could have done better, but it can't because of the sequester. And so we have to make a decision. Are we going to continue to be silent on the issue of sequestration and simply say it's the order of the day? Are we going to continue to be silent and suggest that there is nothing we can do to change this? Or are we going to continue to be silent and be part of the problem rather than what we used to be, part of the solution? And that is the difference. In the past, we were part of the solution. In the past, in a friendly way, in a proper way, we would confront leadership on both sides of the aisle. We would confront the White House. We would confront the press. We would say, this is what has to be done as an investment in our country. This is not what is happening now. This amendment would put us back on a road to investing, but in a fair and in a responsible way. This would challenge the sequester, and I would hope that we can support this amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.